Hello, ladies and gentlemen. MarauderEX here, back yet again. We keep meeting like this, don't we? It's crazy. So yeah. On the interwebs. First off, James Gandolfini died. That's terrible, but not gaming related, but just terrible. Because one of my favorite lines is an MC Chris bit talking about Kingdom Hearts, talking about and Tony Soprano's in a coma. There's no instant gratification. Now, every time I hear that, I'm gonna be just little sad. Little sad. But no, what I want to talk about today, news-wise, is Microsoft and the Xbox. Because they just can't leave well enough alone. Just like I can't. I keep doing these rants. I gotta stop doing these rants, man. This is becoming addictive. I just like to rant. And you guys give me a perfect platform. So, I'm sure most of you have heard by now. If not, welcome to today, because it's been everywhere that I've seen. Microsoft has done a complete 180 with their platform for the Xbox One. Their DRM setup, their game lending, everything's gone. It's basically just like the PS4 now. Uh, what? Now see, the thing is, I can't really talk about the Xbox One originally because I could never find a concise guide of what they were actually trying to do. It was just double speak all over the place of, no, we mean this, no, we mean that, no, this is going to happen, no, this is slightly wrong. They had never really established the used game thing. Never. Like, if you have a physical disc, they never really established how you resell that. It seems like you could have resold it at specific vendors, like GameStop, that sort of thing. But you wouldn't be able to sell it on eBay because it said approved vendors, and the way that the system installed the game, the disc was really superfluous. It was. It's if you wanted to have a physical copy, but it was superfluous because once you had the disc, you just installed it to the console. That's no longer a thing, it seems, at all. Another thing is the 24-hour internet check. Not a thing anymore. I've heard that the region locking is not a thing, but I have yet to see any concrete proof of that because it's going to be available worldwide. Well, it was going to be available worldwide beforehand. They were just starting off in X number of places, and it was region locked. So I don't know if that's changed or not. But people are saying that it's not region locked, but I haven't seen, anything proving that point. But they've done a complete 180 on all of their DRM practices. Now, I'm not surprised in any way, shape, or form. I'm really not. They took a beating. I mean, to say that Microsoft got the shit kicked out of them was a complete understatement, because they walked out of E3 hurting. Because mostly their PR people didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They had, now it could be that fake Twitter accounts, but they have like the Xbox support Twitter feeds, and no one seemed to know what they were talking about with Microsoft. You had figureheads contradicting each other left and right. That was probably Microsoft's biggest problem. Not the DRM itself. I'm going to say I was not a fan of the DRM. I was not planning on buying an Xbox because of the DRM. To clarify, I do game on Steam. I do have a PC. I've got a laptop. I play games on Steam. Steam is DRM. Steam is the type of DRM that Microsoft is trying to shift towards. So, I mean, it doesn't really bother me. It kind of pisses me off that my console would have to check with the internet to function more than my PC would. Like, if I'm playing Steam, I can play offline. I just have to set it up for offline mode. And that's not a problem. So, I mean, the console that's supposedly supposed to be easier to just jump in and game would be more of a hassle to deal with than my laptop or my PC. And that's just... that bothered me. So I was not going to purchase one because of that. And mostly because there's really not a lot of Xbox exclusives so far that look like they intrigue me. Dead Rising 3? Could be. I mean, I loved the first Dead Rising game. The second Dead Rising game, I got some enjoyment out of it, but Like, I wouldn't miss the third one. Like, it's like, oh, well, yeah. Crimson Dragon was probably the only game that really made me hesitate for a moment and be like, I really want this game. Because I'm a huge Panzer Dragoon fan. I mean, you guys know this. But it wasn't what I was going to back this console generation. I mean, honestly, I'm still kind of hesitant on this console generation. There's really nothing that's just grabbed me and shaken me like a British nanny possessed that I have to buy this. I have to be part of this. Not like the Wii did last generation. The Wii really just kind of grabbed me. I looked at Super Mario Galaxy, Super Paper Mario. I fell in love with Super Paper Mario. I don't know why. I have odd fixation about that game. And then Twilight Princess seemed amazing. Granted, I played the Wii version before the GameCube version, so I mean, they're the same game, just waggle controls. So I mean, I could have kept my GameCube, but there were things that drew me into that generation. So far there's not anything, but I wasn't expecting there to be. But what really, really disappoints me is that Microsoft caved on this. Now, I know like I said, they took a major hit. Massive. Their stocks plummeted. And that's really all what this is about. For anyone saying that they're doing this because of the fans, no, that's just sad delusional thinking. They do not give two shits about the fans. If that were true, they would not have tried to implement this in the first place. It's the money. The investors saw the stock drop because of the initial fan release. The fans' distaste for the console. The pre-order situation. I've heard that the pre-orders on Amazon sold out within a day, but Sony has more pre-orders for the Xbox 4 for the PS4 than the Xbox One. So Sony had like 4 times as many, some ridiculous number, I don't even know, and someone's probably going to call me out on that, because I get numbers wrong. I really hope someone's watching who got that, because it was funny back and forth. Probably, and I want to say to that viewer, if you are watching, that was probably the most intelligent back and forth I've ever had with anyone over the internet, with expressing opinions without actually having to defend, or without actually retorting to very, very insightful conversation, thank you. Even if we did not see eye to eye. Amazing. Civil discourse on the internet? Oh, what's the world coming to? But no, I'm getting completely off track. The Xbox One had policies that I didn't agree with. I didn't like, wasn't going to back it, but it did have something that I was very interested in, the game sharing. Again, it wasn't enough to make me buy the console, but it was new technology. And there has not been someone to drive with new technology since the Wii. Like, Wii U has the tablet controller, but no one cares. Everyone's adopting that already. Microsoft's got it with their smart glass, and Sony's got it with any Apple or Android-based tablet. So I mean, they're already jumping on that bandwagon, and no one's really taken advantage of that yet, like fully. But I guarantee you, once Nintendo does, because they're the ones that came out with it first, they're gonna go, okay, we did this, and then everyone else is gonna jump on it. Like what happened the last generation. Waggle controls, then you saw Kinect, and you saw Move. But there hasn't been a big jump in technology changes since then. And before that, it was the Dreamcast and the PS2. Those two consoles really were pushing what gaming would become. PS2 had a built-in DVD player. You've got this entertainment center multifunctionality that the Xbox was trying to go for. And granted, again, not a selling point for me. Not something I was interested in. I have a DVR cable box as a set-top. I don't need my Xbox hooked into that as another vocal remote. I don't care enough about that. But I do know people who do find that entertaining and do find that to be a selling point and a worthwhile feature. But it was really the game sharing that was going to be their biggest thing, because that had a lot of potential. And there's already rumors that Steam is talking about doing this, where you can share games in your library of, I downloaded it in my library and you're on my friends list, you can play this game as long as I'm not playing. And just all these, and there was a lot of confusion about that, how the game sharing worked, because there were rumors that you buy one copy and all 10 friends of yours can play it, which seems BS. That just that didn't even click well. Just it sound, like, if you say that out loud, you realize the fallacy of that. And then Major Nelson talked about it being like a library. So if I'm playing it, no one else can play it. But if I'm not playing it and I let someone else play it, then they have that copy of the game. But how do I get it back because it's mine? So, I mean, there was a lot of, how is this going to actually work practically? But Microsoft didn't do it because of the fans. They did it because they caved for money. But what could have been one of the most interesting features got removed because of their other bad ideas. So it's like you have to sacrifice the one good idea because of the 4 or 5 crappy ideas that you're removing. And that's actually kind of disheartening. I was really looking forward to seeing how this console generation played out. Again, I wasn't going to support Microsoft. I was not going to buy their console. But I was damn curious to see how it was going to play out in the end. I really, 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 really wanted to see this console generation play out as it had intended at the start of E3. And now, just a week after E3, you change all of your ideas? Like, I don't remember who it is. It's one of the Sony executives who was at E3, and I remember watching an interview with him and Jeff Keighley. And Jeff asked him, like, did you price the PS4 based off of the Xbox One's price? It's like, no, you can't just react to your competitors like that. You have to have a plan, and you got to stick to it. And this really, to me, just seems like Microsoft just going, oh, we done screwed up. And they're reacting instead of trying to push it. Now, they could have, and another thing, going back to interviews, Angry Joe interviewed Major Nelson. And Major Nelson typically is one of those guys that in the industry, I kind of listen to him because he seems personable. He seems like he knows what he's talking about. But he also seems like if you walk up to him on the street and just ask him a question, he'd be right there with the answer. And oh, you want to pose for a picture? Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. But the Angry Joe interview seemed really weird. I mean, the Angry Joe interview apparently wasn't supposed to happen. Like Angry Joe wasn't supposed to be there. And it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing and luck that he got in. And Major Nelson did not handle that interview well at all. In my opinion, neither did Angry Joe. There was, if you got the chance to interview someone, if they let you in, ask the questions. Don't try to fanboy it up. And that's, to me, what Angry Joe was doing. He was trying to be as nice as an interviewer because he didn't want to. But I mean, you're there. You're in that situation. Don't backpedal on your question. Just like I'm kind of mad at Microsoft for backpedaling on this. I mean, I know why they did it. It's money. It's all money. And they were already losing money, and the consoles hadn't even come out yet. But they could have made it an attempt to try. But Major Nelson was saying that the console was built around these ideas, and it couldn't just be changed. And then you just change them. This has got to be the worst PR situation in history. Like, I don't even know. And this console war has already gotten off to an incredibly interesting start, because you've got Microsoft and Sony just going at it left and right, back and forth. E3 was, or the original press releases were, Microsoft has terrible DRM, Sony doesn't have their console. And then you see the console E3, and then Microsoft just talks about the games and ignores the DRM, and people are like, no, you probably should have talked more about the DRM. Like, we still have questions that you guys haven't answered. And then it's the price. Sony wins because of the price and the no DRM. And then you've got today, or yesterday, the new Sony update is bricking consoles. And now today, Microsoft changes all of their policies. This console generation just seems like it's getting off to the worst start possible. The Wii U started off with just a terrible lackluster of a year, and hopefully it gets better. I'm really hoping it gets better. I'm hoping it has the same cycle of the 3DS. Of it starts off kind of slow, and then it picks up steam, and then it gets some really good stuff. And Microsoft and Sony have just both shot themselves in the foot so terribly bad, and I don't get it. But yeah, I kind of want to know what you guys think. How do you feel about the whole Microsoft thing? Were you going to support the system to start with? I mean, I've talked to a couple of my friends, and they're like, yeah, I'm probably going to get it. Like, a couple of my game collector friends are going to get it just because they're game collectors. And they're like, you know, as long as I can still buy the physical copy of a disc, it counts. And I can completely see that logic. But looking at it, it's like, I don't like a lot of the DRM. I don't like a lot of the policies in place. I don't like the Kinect. I really don't. I don't have a Kinect for my 360. I never really plan on buying a Kinect for my 360. And it's not because of the tinfoil hat, oh my god, they're going to watch you 24/7. I mean, if someone out there somewhere really wanted to watch me 24/7, I'm pretty sure they could. I mean, I have a smartphone. I've obviously got a webcam. I've got mics all over my house for recording. I mean, if someone wants to monitor you 24/7, I'm really sure they can do it without having to hack my Xbox. So I mean, it's not the tinfoil hat, it's just that I don't like the concept of having to rely on this piece of technology that I don't want to have. Like, I don't have a Kinect for my 360. Making it an integral part. Like, if I got a Wii U, I probably wouldn't use the tablet controller often unless the game required it. Like getting Smash Brothers, I'm gonna play on the Classic Controller Pro, as long as that's an available option. I haven't seen, but I also haven't been paying attention to the Wii U. But I would imagine that they would treat it like the Wii with various control schemes. But like with the Wii, unless I had to use the Wiimote and the nunchuck, I'm using the Classic controller or Wiimote sideways, depending on what its control scheme is. Like, I didn't go in with a waggle unless it was required, like Skyward Sword or something like that. I tried it out with Twilight Princess, but after a while it was just easier to use the controller. So I mean, but that's optional. The Kinect is not optional, and that was my biggest problem with it. So yeah, what do you guys think about this? I'm disappointed. I am so utterly disappointed because I wanted to see how this. Deep down, my gut tells me the Xbox One would have become the next Dreamcast. It would have started off with a couple of really strong games, but then the PS4 would have just crushed it, just like the PS2 and the Dreamcast. I see so many parallels there, and so many people have talked about that parallel. So I deep down I saw that coming, but I wanted to see how it played out, and that's never going to happen now. Microsoft is backpedal, unless they backpedal again, which is entirely possible. The biggest concern people have now is, well, if they can just turn it off, if it's just like flipping a switch, where they can turn it off a week later, what makes you say you can't change it in the future? Sony did that and got into a massive amount of trouble with the PS3 with the ability to install a different operating system. You can install Linux, and then they took that functionality away, and there was a huge class action suit. Now you have to agree to their terms of service where you agree to not sue them if they decide to change later on, which I don't agree with. That's not right. That's why class action suits exist, especially for this type of system. So, I mean, Microsoft will probably just have you agree to it in their new terms of service, and if they want to later on down the line, they will change this. But I'm really disappointed to see the one good thing about the Xbox One go away, and I'm kind of sad to see a company as adamant about it. Because, I mean, really, they were kicking and screaming the entire week of E3 saying, no, this is what we're going to do. We've got this idea. Screw you, we're doing this. And then it just didn't happen. They just, well, nope. We lied. We were wrong. Sorry. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I do not understand. So I want to know your guys' opinions on it. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about it? Were you going to support the Xbox One to begin with? Has this new information changed your mind? For me, I wasn't, and no, it hasn't. So let me know. I really want to know what you guys think about this, because this seems to be the biggest gaming news of the day, and I'm really curious to see how it goes. So I'm gonna go and see what other people are saying about it, because there's no shortage of discussion on the internet about it, because it's the internet, and this is where we're at on the internet. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you guys later. Till then, later, everyone.